Hey, it's Mike at Wave Chronicle and MPD Sports, and what I'm going to cover today is our All-Star break kind of pause here with the Red Sox. First thing that we're going to look at here is basically the Red Sox are in first place by 3.5 games. It's tough to admit that that is actually more wins than I thought they would have. As I said when I was doing the preview for the beginning of the season, I said the Yankees would be a good team, and they're solid up there, 45 and 41. They have massive pitching issues, and so it's hard to say how they'll go going forward. But you can't fall asleep on that Yankees team. I am shocked that Baltimore is down. That is a little shocking, but I think I marked them down when I did my initial 2017 preseason report back a few months ago. And everyone else is where they really should be. Don't be shocked if the Yankees come back, but the issue with the Yankees is going to be pitching and injuries. Now, when I'm looking over, just bringing up a depth chart for the Red Sox, it's a solid team. You have to love the outfield. Benedetti, Bradley Jr., and Betts, these are all solid players. The catching position, I think either one of those catchers, Vasquez or Leon, is fine. And again, you have Pedroia at second base, Bogarts at shortstop, again solid. I still would like to have seen a different first baseman, but Moreland's done an okay job. I mean, you can't necessarily argue how he's doing. Third base is a total nightmare, and we're going to cover that in just a little bit, because that is just this doesn't need to be this way for a team like the Red Sox. There should be a solid third baseman there. There just isn't. It's not a knock on either of the two players that are there, Lynn or Marrero, although I do like Lynn a little bit better. But nevertheless, they're solid. They're okay players, but it's not what should be there. And I'm going to cover a lot of this just coming up. And the other issue is going over pitching. Now, Chris Sales is done exactly as advertised. I am shocked that he's as good as he is, but everyone else isn't doing as well. Although Pomeranz, with an ERA of 3.6, that's actually better than anticipated. I mean, you have to actually give him a nod on that. And I'm sorry, price for the money that he's getting paid, it should be better than 3.91. I mean, a lot of people will talk pitching stats, and they will give you the whip and all kinds of other, whether there's strikeouts, hits, earned runs. The bottom line is, it's ERA. ERA is everything. And ERA is consistently, if you look at teams with the lowest ERA, consistently those are winning teams. They may not necessarily win all the World Series. I'm just telling you, on an overall basis, if you have a team with the lowest ERA, they're going to win more games. They're going to go farther. This has to improve. I don't know what they can do to improve it. I don't necessarily know that there's any pitchers I would run out there to grab. I think they have to stand pat with what they have, and it has to work. I don't know how else to put that. I mean, you might only be looking at, if you go forward from here and say that this is the staff that they have, looking at them, I think on an overall basis, you maybe only go with a 3-man rotation and nothing more than that when you get to the playoffs. I'm talking playoffs. And you may want to consider 2 and then a bunch of other people for the 3, which will be totally against what anyone in baseball will ever tell you. But there are times in the playoffs where you'll pitch those who can actually pitch in the ball games. And that's kind of lost. That doesn't happen anymore. That happened way back, maybe 50, 60, 70 years ago. It doesn't happen now. But if I was to look at this team and I was to go into this team with the playoffs, personally, I would pitch Chris Sales and Pomeranz and David Price. And David Price would be the third on that list. It's not that I'm necessarily think Pomeranz is better than Price. I just don't see that there's an option. You know, if a pitcher has a 4.0 ERA, he's going to get killed in the playoffs because they're better teams. It's just an honest truth. And what I want to focus on here is the third base stats, and that's what I've pulled up here. And this is an absolute nightmare at third base. I mean, you can't even make any heads of tail out of this mess. I mean, Lynn, I know, is the top guy there with his batting average is 4.67. That's only over, 8 games. I mean, that's just not an acceptable stat. And the rest of it is just atrocious all the way down the line. You have to have a real third baseman. They should be going out and getting a third baseman that can hit a baseball. You have to have scoring out of that position. And it's just not happening. I mean, the RBIs are a joke. I mean, Lynn has 2, Rutledge has 5, Marrero has 20. It's just a joke for that position. That has to improve. Next part of this is first base. I want more production out of this. I think Mitch Moreland's doing everything that he can. Mitch Moreland doesn't do a lot of RBIs if you go and look at his stats for the years. This is what he is. This is the player that he is. When you look at those stats and you see that there's 40 RBIs, he's batting average is 254, slugging percentage is 443. OPS is 790. That is who that player is. If you're expecting that player to get you more than that, you are smoking crack. It's not going to happen. Accept that. This is what he is. This is all he's ever going to be for the rest of his life. That is it. For as long as we have him, this is all he's going to do. So if he comes out to 80 RBIs or 100 RBIs, that is what he does. That's it. And if he ends up with a batting average at the end of the year of 254 and these roughly same stats, just multiplied by 2, that is what that player is. He will not be better. So if you don't like those stats, you need another player there because he's playing at his norm. And the last part of this is just going to be going into the Red Sox RBIs, which I think is a problem. And I'm going to show you MLB stats in just a bit. The numbers, I mean, this is the main focus of their team. Betts, Benedetti, Bogarts, Moreland, Pedroia, Bradley Jr., and Ramirez. It's 53 down to 34. And when I show you the other stats coming up, it's not enough RBIs. We're not scoring. The Red Sox are not scoring enough runs. I mean, I think these players are doing what they can. I think they're doing what they are. But there needs to be more. And some of this is that we just don't have the right players. Now, if you had a decent hitting third baseman, this may now look so much better. Now, when we go over and we take a look at the RBIs, top Red Sox player had 53. And if you look at that on this list, just going down to where the first Red Sox player is, 18th. This is just American League. I didn't do the entire MLB. This is just the American League. And the best Red Sox player for RBIs is 18th. That is not acceptable. They need to get someone who can get some RBIs. I mean, look at the rookie Judge. Look at Cruz, Correa, Sano, Springer, Cano. And Cano, I don't even think is having a good year this year. And he had more. I'm shocked when I looked at this and he sees he has 60 RBIs because I don't think he's done that well this year. Even Abreu is doing well. I mean, it's not acceptable. There needs to be more scoring. And this is a major issue going forward because you have to be able to win these games going down the line. And I'm just not sure that's going to happen. And the next stat is pitching. And again, you have one pitcher who's ranked second in the American League. I would take Sale over Vargas, but I think it's based on ERA, it looks like. I mean, Sale's probably the best in the American League right now. Pomeranz is 11th. As much as you may not like, a lot of the people in Boston sports media aren't necessarily large on Pomeranz. At the end of the day, he's still number 11 in the American League. That is not bad. And then the next Red Sox player is all the way down to 25. Is it 25? Price should be in here somewhere. But I don't see him at the moment. So this, and the issue is going to be, with every team going down the line, is who's going to have the pitching and who can get the wins um, as we near the end of the season. I mean, the Red Sox are lucky if you look at these stats based on where they are. Uh, because unfortunately, American League East, well, actually, fortunately for the Red Sox, is that this is actually a good division for them to be in because everyone is somewhat down. And because everyone is somewhat down, it works well for this particular team as they are. And of course, I pulled up stats just for closers. And although I don't like Kimbrel, he's not the person I would have closing games. Overall, he's ranked third um, in the American League for saves. I mean, you can't knock that. I don't necessarily like the player all that much, or I don't necessarily dislike the player either. But this works for now. So the main issue when I'm looking at that is maintaining where they are. And I'm not necessarily sold on the second half of the season that's going to happen. I would worry about the Yankees if they can get their pitching back or if they can go out and get another pitcher. I think the issue with the Yankees, they're not going to be able to do that, or they won't be able to do that. It's going to be an if or then. So the Red Sox may be able to crawl to the playoffs and win the AL East. I think that when you look at this and the other teams that are there, I think it's unlikely Tampa Bay will catch them. I doubt Baltimore will, and I doubt Toronto will. I think the only team that could catch them at the end could be the Yankees, but that's going to take an effort on the pitching end at the Yankees, and I'm not convinced they have pitching that will make it that far. Because as much as I'm not pleased with where the Red Sox pitching is, it's better than anyone else in the American League East. All right, so it's Mike. I'm just telling you to keep an eye out for these Red Sox going forward. You may get to the playoffs, but don't start planning too much for their future going into the playoffs unless they can make some moves. If they get themselves a great hitting third baseman, I mean, that could all change, and they could get a good long run at the playoffs. All right, folks, it's Mike at Wave Chronicle and MPD Sports, and we're out for now. Everyone stay safe, be well, stay in the game. Bye now.